Hello everyone, welcome to my channel. Please subscribe and stay tuned by clicking the bell icon. The Bold and the Beautiful Friday, November 21st recap. Baker confirms Luna dead, miscarriage claims true. Friday's episode delivered the kind of emotional devastation that rattles through every corner of Los Angeles, leaving the Forrester and Spencer families reeling in disbelief. What began as a day of tense waiting turned into an afternoon of soul-shattering confirmation, as Chief Deputy Baker delivered the news no one was prepared to hear. Luna Nozawa is dead, and her miscarriage claims, once questioned, doubted, and dismissed, were tragically true all along. The search comes to its end. The episode opened with a somber tone at Forrester Creations, where the usually vibrant office buzz was suffocated by the weight of Luna's disappearance. Hope, RJ, and Steffi were gathered in the executive suite, anxiously awaiting any word from law enforcement. RJ, exhausted from pleading with officers and pacing the Malibu coastline half the night, looked on the verge of collapsing. Steffi watched him with the unease of someone who had seen grief before, real grief, and recognized all the early tremors now setting into RJ's posture. Even she, typically a bastion of practicality, couldn't pretend the situation hadn't spiraled beyond anyone's control. "We just need a sighting." "Anything," Hope murmured, rubbing RJ's shoulder. RJ didn't answer. He stared blankly at his phone as if expecting Luna's name to flash across the screen one more time, even as hours passed in silence. The guilt was eating him alive. His last interaction with Luna replayed in his head with merciless clarity, harsh words, disbelief, anger, and Luna running away in tears. If only he'd asked questions instead of reacting. If only he'd trusted her. Before the group could sink deeper into dread, Carter rushed in with the news that Baker was on his way over. No one missed the look in his eyes, pity, grave and silent. The room suddenly felt too small, too quiet. Lee faces the consequences of her fury. Across town, Lee paced her condo, unable to calm the storm inside her. Her phone buzzed repeatedly, messages from Finn, from Steffi, from police, but she couldn't bring herself to answer. Her last moments with Luna replayed in her mind, twisted with anger and accusations she now regretted. She hadn't wanted Luna harmed. She hadn't wanted this. But she had wanted Luna gone, and now she was forced to face what that desire had turned into. When Finn finally came home, breathless from his own frantic search, Lee nearly collapsed into him. "Mom, they found something," Finn said, voice hoarse. Lee's knees went weak. Baker arrives with a heartbreaking confirmation. Back at Forrester, Baker entered the executive suite with a somber expression that immediately froze Hope, Steffi, and Carter in place. RJ rose so fast his chair toppled behind him. "Just tell me she's alive," RJ demanded, the words almost a whisper. Baker removed his hat, a gesture that said everything before he spoke a single word. "We recovered a body near the ravine off PCH. Dental records confirmed identity." He paused, the kind of pause that stretches seconds into eternity. "It's Luna." The silence that followed felt deafening. RJ staggered back, the world spinning around him. Hope caught his arm, but he could barely stand under the weight of the truth. His breath hitched, cracked, and finally shattered. Steffi closed her eyes tightly as a tear slid down her cheek. Baker went on gently, though the details felt like blows. She had severe internal trauma from the fall. "We also confirmed Luna had recently miscarried." Hope's gasp broke the silence. Steffi covered her mouth. And RJ collapsed into unrestrained sobs. There was no more room for doubt. No more accusations. No more questions about whether Luna had lied, manipulated, or twisted facts. She had been pregnant. She had lost the baby. And she had died alone, terrified, running from people who were supposed to care for her. The guilt that washed over the room was crushing. RJ spirals into devastation. After Baker left, RJ crumbled. Hope knelt beside him, holding him tightly as he shook with sobs. "She needed me," he choked out. "And I didn't believe her. I let her walk out that door." Steffi tried to speak but faltered. Nothing she could say would erase the reality they were all now forced to face. Carter, ever the emotional anchor of Forrester Creations, finally said quietly, "She loved you, RJ. She wouldn't want you to blame yourself for a tragedy none of us saw coming." But RJ wasn't hearing it. In his mind, he might as well have pushed Luna off that cliff himself. Lee confronts the fallout. Back at her condo, Lee broke down completely as Finn told her the rest of what the police discovered. She covered her face with shaking hands, horrified, guilt-ridden, and unable to escape the truth. "I pushed her," Lee whispered, trembling. "Not physically, but I pushed her to this. I told her she didn't deserve you. I told her she brought shame. And now—" Finn pulled her into a tight embrace as she sobbed against him. "We don't know what happened near that cliff," Finn said gently. "But none of us wanted this." But Lee was already spiraling. Her moral certainty, so often her shield, was now her torment. "What will RJ think? What will he say when he finds out how I treated her?" she whispered. Finn didn't have the answers. No one did. The Forresters brace for the aftershock. Word spread quickly through the company, leaving staff devastated. Ridge, Brooke, and Eric gathered in the Forrester main office, absorbing the shock and preparing to support RJ through the darkest moment of his life. Eric, frail but steady, spoke with a tremor in his voice. "This family will carry him. We won't let him fall apart." Brooke nodded, though tears streamed freely. She was such a sweet girl. She didn't deserve this. Neither did RJ. Ridge clenched his jaw. "We need to know exactly what happened. Every detail. No more confusion, no more rumors." But the truth was already as brutal as it could be. RJ's final breakdown. The episode ended with a devastating scene. RJ sitting alone on the edge of the Forrester rooftop terrace, Luna's favorite lookout, holding the necklace she'd once given him. The wind whipped around him, but he didn't move. "When you needed me, I wasn't there," he whispered to the sky, voice breaking. "I'm so sorry, Luna." The camera pulled back slowly, leaving him silhouetted against the setting sun, utterly broken. If you liked the video, don't forget to like, comment and share.